Hello and welcome to Road to State House. And today I have with me the independent aspirant on the race track running the race towards State House. Independent for President, Papa Faal, welcome to Road to State House.
Thank you, Malik. Thank you for having me.
You're emerging on the racetrack wherein there are other competitors. From a party level, there are 18 parties headed by different party leaders, all trying to make sure that the coveted prize of State House comes in their hands on the 4th of December 2021. Likewise, apart from you, there are other contenders who are single-handedly running the race as independent candidates. Before we go into the nitty-gritty of how you're going to make it to State House before Barrow and the others, we want to know who you are. Who is Papa Faal?
Thank you so much, Malik, for having me. It is really a pleasure to come and have a conversation with you and the people of the Gambia. My name is Papa Faal. I was born in Brikama. I was raised in Brikama, went to Brikama Primary School. My grandparents, I should say, well, they say we have to say one of the names, and not all of them. I grew up in Jaorkunda, Brikama. My grandparents were the one that guided us. My father passed away when I was 8. And my mom basically raised us. And of course, he remarried, and we have 3 siblings. There are 9 of us, 1 sister, and 8 brothers. I went to Muslim high school. My childhood was very, very well, very good. 1983, I went to Muslim high school and graduated in 1988. And I left for the U.S. in 1991 to go to university. The 1994 found me in my 2nd or 3rd year in university, and I graduated 1999 with a bachelor's degree in computer information systems. I joined the military, in the U.S. military. I served for about 10 years, beginning 2000. And I got my master's degree from University of Maryland, 2 master's degree. One is an MBA, and the other one is technology management, because technology has been my field before I went into the military. I just finished my doctorate degree in business administration, DBA. I taught in the U.S. and deployed and had several jobs, career, not the jobs, but career, in both teaching and technology expertise. So I came back with my entire family after the election to settle here. So hence, not that politics is what brought me back. We came back because we had a business in the U.S. We moved that here, but I found myself in politics. So that's in a nutshell.
Why? What gave you the impetus? Why should Papa Faal get involved in politics when he's an IT expert? He's got a business running, and you could have stayed and and your money, live a nice, comfortable life. Why do you want to go to State House?
I don't want to go to State House.
Oh yes, that's why you're running for the elections. Do you want to win the
State
election?
House is not the goal.
Yeah. But at State House, you will change what you want to change.
Yeah, you see,
Without being at State House, you cannot change nothing.
you cannot
Papa
change
Faal.
anything.
But
You cannot change anything.
Exactly.
But
Papa Faal.
you see,
Papa Faal for president is what I have here. Independent for president.
Yes.
Papa Faal for 2021. Except you want to.
I want to go to work at State House. I do not want to
No, you
go
will apply.
to State
No,
House.
apply for the job at State House, and they'll give you
I'm
one
looking,
with all the
I'm looking
qualifications.
for a job.
All right, okay. Let's put it out that
Now,
way. Why is Papa Faal getting into politics?
Politics has always been a part of my life. My grandpa, Sadauda, obviously, has been in politics way before I was born. My home, we grew up in a home where politics is always everything that
By the way, let me
we
stop
do.
you there. Why didn't you seize the PPP? Should have taken over the PPP. They're in turmoil right now.
Well, we tried.
Oh, okay.
I did not try to take over PPP. I think 2018, if you remember, we had a lot of difficulties trying to get PPP back to Congress. So Honorable BB can stand. We put BB forward. And what transpired, I think everybody, I mean, it's not as news to everybody, of its own. So I think that having PPP back to its feet, I was with the impression that Bibi Dabo and the Alaji Yaya Sise and they are all here. They thought that Alaji Yaya has left and Honorable OJ is the only one here. I think that was just a misinformation. Alaji Yaya never left. There are several things that happened to push Alaji Yaya, Alkali James Gay and the others away from PPP. See, and
intentionally?
Intentionally. Intentionally. That's why PPP became a one-man show. That's why PPP became a one-man show. If you're dealing with elders who have respect and integrity, and there are certain things that they will not deal with. That's like I said, that is the talk of another time. But PPP is in turmoil, and I don't think that it can get out of it. Because it is no longer the goal of the people who are at the helm of the PPP is not for the PPP to revive in its glorious position, but just to use it for personal gain. That's what I figured, that's what I saw on all my investigations and talking to people on what happened before we actually went to Congress. So that's really another matter. PPP cannot be salvaged. I tried, but I cannot salvage it.
Now you're going solo.
I'm going solo. I'm going solo because you've indicated that having had an IT background, I can be able to live a good life.
You're painted with all the rainbows to be a successful person anyway.
Well, I am a successful person before I came. So, and I came down here. I continue to be a successful person. But it is always not about me. It's about the people around us. It's about the country. It's about forgetting one's self and then really ensuring that those who are destitute and those who are in need have their basic needs.
And you believe that you could salvage this country from what you perceive
I
or
will
what
try.
people are saying?
I will try.
Okay.
You see, I cannot do this alone. I cannot salvage the country. But through my knowledge and what I have experienced and guidance, I think that we can work together as a country, as a people, to salvage the country. My kids are here. I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. They were all born in the U.S. and they were going to school. I had to pull them and come down here because one, the U.S. is a great country, but I have Gambia in my heart. It's where I'm from. So if I come in and see things that are not normal, and I want my kids to grow up in this country and be proud of it. I cannot sit on the sideline and say I'm going to lock myself in my room and I'm driving expensive cars and just fly by everybody else. I think that actually impacts my own kids negatively. When they grow older, they will have to go back to the U.S. I think that doing what I can to salvage the country and put it on the right track. We cannot do everything, but the system, you can establish a system that actually can be able to perpetuate good governance. If we look at the advanced countries, it is not the people who are there, but it's the system that they put in place, that if you come in and you want to do some crooked things, you will deal with the law. So that's what we need in this country. We change the system and we enlighten the people. We move them together. We move together to build our own country.
I'm going to take you to the state of affairs in this country, and I'm going to divide that into 3 very important sectors. And I'll ask you, what is your take on that, the affairs of this country? First, from an economic point of view, this country is highly indebted. What is your take on it? And if you take over State House, if you run the race, and you become #1 athlete to reach State House, what would you do about the economy?
Thank you for that question. I think no country can function without, just take it at home. If you're always begging and your livelihood is all dependent on others to give you money, you will never rise above to be able to feed yourself and your family. Our first mission will be to get rid of that dependency. Dependency is a curse for us, and we see it in the repercussions in our own individual lives. In order to be successful, you have to strive, toil, and be successful. The debt, you're right. This country is so indebted to a point that $6 billion goes to just the servicing of our debt. And no country can be able to sustain that. Even if we have all the plans in place, that is something that is going to be unsustainable. Like, I did some calculation that $25,000 for every single child that is born today will owe $25,000. That is not something that's not a place where we're supposed to be. Now, when in 2016 there was a lot of goodwill towards the Gambia, had we had good governance, I think that things would have been different right now. I think that working with our I'm not going to call them partners, because if I'm your partner and then you're mooching me, you're not my partner.
We're not.
We're not partners. Don't call them development partners. They're not. We have to work with them and find a way to be able to reduce or eliminate that debt. If they cannot eliminate it, we have to push the $6 billion and the payment 10 years and above and freeze the interest payment. If we freeze the interest payment, because for me, I think that this is the system that is in place for us to be in the situation where we are. it is not only our fault, but it's the creditor's fault too. If I know that you're not going to be able to pay the money I am giving you, and I keep giving you all the time, then there's something that is underneath that they're trying to gain.
Sometimes I look at this debt issue, as if I owe IMF or the World Bank a huge amount of money, where are they going to take me? They're not going to take the state to mile 2.
No, they will not.
They will not.
They're just going to
they'll squeeze me from further loans.
Yes.
Probably.
For probably they're not going to give you any more loans.
And then that will stifle my economy.
Your economy,
my
and
people will not be happy with until a regime change takes over.
Exactly. So I think this whole loan scheme is predatory, you know, because they prey on us because they know that we can't pay. So we're paying interest. I always point to the U.S. where we were. They will give you a credit card. Even you only need to have a job. They will give you a credit card.
Why you go shopping?
You go shop for everything. You can fill up your house and then when the bill comes, it's $10,000. They tell you you can only pay maybe $100 a month. That's okay. You can afford $100. But the problem is, by the time you finish paying that debt, it will be 30 years, and then it will be maybe $1 million. You see, it's a business for them, because right now we're only paying $6 billion. That $6 billion doesn't go towards our principal. It is just the interest.
Servicing.
You know, debt and servicing. It doesn't make any sense.
Do you think we have misplaced the resources of this country so much so that economically we couldn't be buoyant? For example, let's take for example fisheries. Why sell fishing license when you could buy a trawler and fish and sell to the EU? Why sell fish and give EU the rights to come and fish in your country when you know that you can fish and sell to the EU?
We talk about all that in our manifesto. If you go through our manifesto, most of these things that we're talking about, they're in there. We wrote a clearer solution. As you say, why, if you are paying somebody to fish, on your ocean to give you $5 million for 6 years, I'm not saying $5 million for every year for 6 years. It's $5 million for 6 years.
That's trouble.
That's trouble. And then calculating to the price of tuna in the market, EU, is about 1,500 euros. You calculate that per ton, you're talking about 46 million pounds a year.
Who do you blame? The person advising the president or the Ministry of Economic Affairs?
I think all of them. Because the president, he is the last person to make the decision. He relies on his advisors for guidance. I think that the Ministry of Fisheries, the Ministry of Finance, and the President, and all the people who need to guide the President failed. Because this is not something, if you're in business, this is not a good business strategy. You cannot sell your product at cheap at the expense of, whatever. It doesn't make any sense. They are all to be blamed. They are all to be blamed. They are not managing our resources. The fish that we have, we are endowed. We have the Atlantic Ocean next to us. We have the River Gambia. We should not be poor. But we are poor. You know why? Because we Gambians, I'm sorry to say, all of us involved, choose people who embezzle, and we glorify embezzlement. If you work for me, and then I see you building 10-story buildings, and I only have a hut, I will have to question you. Where are you getting that money? You work for me. Why is it that then I'm going to run to him and say, well, you're building a very nice house. Thank you so much for stealing my money. I appreciate you. Can you please give me $10 here? Let me go buy food. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up.
If we want to talk about the economy of this country and what went wrong, we will spend a whole program and even more on that. Let me skip that for the time being, and let's look at the political situation. What do you read from the crystal ball? Or what do you read? It's not a crystal ball, it's right out there in the open. What do you read? What is going wrong?
I think the political landscape is very, I smell trouble. See, this is the problem that we have, I think. It has become a rat race. Me, myself included, always people say, why don't you join a political party? Sure. But the thing is, your vision that you have, I think we have our manifesto. We highlighted our vision to the T, what we want to do. I always say, don't come and buy a car and then test drive it. You know, you cannot set up a political party and you get people around you and then you come down and launch it and say, well, I will think about what I'm going to do for you. That's what we see. That's why we have 18 political parties. How many of those 18 political parties have an agenda, a clear agenda where they're going? We know what the problem is. We know that there's a problem with the economy. We know that agriculture is neglected. We know that our sea is being exploited against our will. We know that our economy is being invaded by external interests. We all know that. But highlight what you're going to do. Don't tell me about the problems. Tell me about the solutions. When you get there, make sure it is a sound solution that people can be able to buy. That's what we see in all this political landscape. It is rough.
You're watching The Road to State House. My guest is the independent aspirant, Papa Faal, whose manifesto says 5 in 5. He's talking about citizen reorientation. He's talking about citizens' welfare. He's talking about a computerized civil and public institutions and comprehensive tax, public and security services reforms. And I guess your motto is dignity, justice, and compassion. Very well said. The Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia is in a crisis. Was it prudent? And shall I say it, and I hate to say it, that the Gambia outsourced such a delicate private issue to a non-Gambian to tell us or to try to broker peace? Looks as if we cannot fix our problem. Are you surprised?
I'm not surprised, given the leadership that is there right now. I think that, see, this constitutional issue, way back before CRC was initiated, I wrote and I spoke. I went to Standard, wrote. I went to Fat Kamara, spoke. I even printed out our 1970 Constitution and said, hey, look, this is not the way that you're going to take it. You're supposed to take it. Take the 1970, do amendments. What we don't want in there, throw it out. When we want what we want, put it there. It is a constitution that was voted in but right after our independence. It is the constitution that brought us nationhood, republic. Why then are we going to throw it out? Honestly, nobody spoke to me. I didn't hear anything. Hindsight, I think that that's what should have been done. Before wasting 116 million, it will only take probably about 1 million or less to get that going. Now, if you want to solve every problem in a single book, and then you have a president who wants to stay there for 30 years, you said, look, even the time that you're coming, you are not qualified. We should expect this problem. We should expect this problem. I think that the Constitution is too prescriptive. It should have been um, a framework rather than an instruction. If it's a framework, then we could have gone and say, look, this is, we have a wiggle room right now. We can sit down and discuss. If one argument does not stand, we can pick another one. But if you are rigid, if the Constitution is rigid, there is no wiggle room. And that's the statement that I had made before, and I'm making it right now. It is our fault that we are taking, I think that we went into writing this Constitution emotionally, with emotions, because we were tired of the previous regime just going through and ripping through our Constitution. So, and then we said, hey, let's dump everything in there, whatever we can think of, whatever stop and preventive measures we can put there, we put there. Now we're in the same problem. And I think that for us, as you say, it is honestly, doesn't make any sense for us to bring somebody else to do our bidding for us.
All right. Let me take you to another contentious issue, the issue of the sovereignty of this country. And it's been muted now, but I mean, it's very plain out there. I remember I had an incident. I was covering a ceremonial function at the now renamed MacArthur Square, and I was confronted because the identity cards were not yet ready, and then I was confronted by a soldier of not this country, and he said to me, you cannot go in. I said, no, we are waiting for our ID card, but my colleagues are going. He said, but I don't know you. I said, you're not supposed to know me. You're not supposed to know me.
You're not even a Gambian.
You're not even a Gambian. How do you know me? The issue of sovereignty is quite a problem here.
Yes.
And I'm sure that somewhere out there, there is a dossier which says Gambia, which is open every day to give the latest situation on the Gambia. Are you happy with that?
No. I am not happy, and I don't think any citizen of the Gambia today will look at the dynamics of what is going on and be happy about it. I think that it's true. We're losing our sovereignty. This case of this Senegal and Gambia has been played before 1965. We've seen how our leadership handled it. The Confederation came. We know why it broke down, and how we were treated in 1989 when the soldiers just left after the 1981 coup. So I think that we are losing our sovereignty, and every Gambian should be aware of that and be very serious about it. If we don't do something about it and really be very firm, we might lose ourselves. I think that every country, there are certain mechanisms that you have to have in place, and you should not negotiate. And that's the security of your country and the protection of your people from your neighbors. We are neighbors. And honestly, yes, neighbors can have, you cannot, if my neighbor is sitting down here, my next house, and I'm always
from time to time.
Yes,
of
we must rub shoulders from time to time, but that does not mean that you're always giving in all the time. Because if my neighbor is coming in and beating my child all the time, we will have a problem.
Absolutely.
So I think that we really, 2021, honestly, is a litmus test for us. We have to really go all out because there's so much at stake.
Somebody must go.
Somebody must go.
Somebody must go is the word on this platform right now. Let me take you to another sensitive issue. The issue of health and COVID-19, which for me is even related to the economic plight that we are. Gambia could have been smart enough to use COVID-19 to ask for a debt forgiveness or for the debt to be just put aside.
Put it aside.
Do you agree
Thank
with
you.
me?
I agree with you. Agree with you 100%. You know, but it
They
takes...
played it wrongly.
They played it wrongly because, you know what, that's not what they're thinking. Their thinking was, let's put restrictions, let's increase the numbers, and let's get money here, and then let's just go at it.
What would you have done if you were president?
I think on Twitter we made a statement. It's coming. What are you going to do? It should not have gotten here. Even if it got here, it should have been far less. The impact should have been far less. We should have closed our borders as soon as we heard that COVID is in Senegal. And we could have sensitized our citizens about what to do. We put fast track. What policies are we going to play? Should COVID get in here? Should lockdown happen? How people are going to feed themselves? All these things should have been planned overnight. Not overnight, I should say, but you know, the president should have been up 24 hours a day until those things are in place. And then the World Bank and the other places, as you say, you know what, COVID is here, the hardship is coming, please help us. You know, eradicate this huge surmountable debt. And then, you know, when the money comes, I think that the healthcare sector should have been beefed up with the money that is here. And then every person should have been given some money.
Have you ever visited the sanatorium, which is the ICU center for COVID-19?
It's terrible.
We hold it at that.
Yes.
Let's look at the political landscape. On the racetrack to State House, there are so far now 18 plus 3 independents. There are 21 people. And you're one of them.
Yes.
What do you have that the others don't have that will make me, Malik Jones, vote for you as president come 2021, 4th December?
Well, Malik, I can sit down on my knees and tell you to vote for me.
That's enough. That's not enough.
That's not enough.
That's not enough.
But you know, before we came out, we were the first political party independent candidate or political party was the first. The day that we came out, we called a press conference and we handed out what we are going to do. We had a vision. We have a vision for this Gambia, and we are going to go down there and sell that vision to the Gambian people. That is how we are going to reorient our people. If we go through this, I think it will make sense. You will see where we are coming from. We have an agenda that is clear. There is no ambiguity in this. And it is practical and implementable. Because we looked at the situations that is here, we analyzed it, and then we feel that, first of all, integrity, we have to bring in people who have integrity. You cannot bring a leader who is has less integrity than you. What do you expect? We need to bring in people that are that really, really love this country. I mean, I'm not saying that through their mouth, but actions out there. Sincerely, actions out there. You bring them in. They are very, very, very dedicated to the development of this nation. We intend to do all that. Our people, the people who are with me, have that sincerity. And they have that integrity. And the race is fast. But I think that with the flag that we have, by the time we get there, we sensitize people, we show them what we have, I think that we will be voted in.
You're watching the Road to State House. My guest is the independent candidate for president, Papa Faal, come the 4th of December 2021.
It will be President Faal.
He would. He said it. I didn't say it. He said he will be President Faal. Well, I wish you luck. I wish you luck. Now I'm going to take the rest of this time now
Yeah.
to look at your manifesto and your 5 in 5. Let's deal with citizens' reorientation.
Okay.
What does the citizen lack that you want to reorientate?
Malik, thank you for bringing that up, because right now, if we look at our social standings right now, there's a lot of, I'm not going to say indiscipline, but the young people don't have direction. There's a lot of people, we have abundance of education. We have educated kids. They're sitting down not doing anything. Our nation is lacking resources. A mere doctor we don't have. Good teachers we don't have. Good fire service we don't have. Good medics, paramedics we don't have. Good structural engineers, you name it. Civil engineering, we don't have those things. But these people, we have abundance of educated kids. I remember when we grow up, and when we were growing up, we had a system that is actually just ready to prepare us for what we for what to come. An education system that is very well structured, and we have a family system that actually, when they tell me to do something, I do it. You know, so now citizens reorientation is all about two sectors. First, when we look at our country, like I say, we lack all these professional fields that we needed. The second one is the security part of it. 2016, when Yahya Jammeh refused to go, most Gambians left to Senegal. They left our country to any invaders. It would have been very easy if there were a war, we would have lost this country already. So we said, first of all, we have to have the country's interest at heart, enough to be able to stand and fight for it. That's one. Be able to defend yourself and be able to defend your family, be able to defend your country. We said, if you are going to school, grade 12, you get out, you move into military service. You go to military service, you learn how to defend yourself, defend your country, you learn structures. When you finish there, you come back. The government have the responsibility to train our citizens for whether you're going to be a doctor or a fire service, or train you, because the thing is, other countries did it. They train their citizens, they leave them there, they have expatriates or international companies that are coming in and say, well, we have this very, very qualified workforce that you can be able to tap in. Today, if we want to bring a company that makes electronics, we won't have, no company will come here. But if we have expertise here, companies will come, because they're always looking for cheap labor, and and our people can be able to go out and be able to do any job they want, rather than being in the U.S. being a waiter or a sanitary person. You're a civil engineer. You go to U.S. you can get it. You have an you are a qualified doctor. You can go to the U.S. if you want, and you can work there. We say that the government has to have a responsibility to orient its citizens, give them a life that can be able to be useful. We be a useful, productive society. And that does not go beyond the military and education. We merge those together.
Related to that is the citizen welfare.
Yes.
how are you going to create that environment for the citizens of this country to enjoy the welfare of this country?
Yeah. Right now, we have so much problems. Food prices is skyrocketing. People cannot afford basic needs. If you're hungry, how can you be happy in a country where you're hungry? How can you be happy in a country where when you are sick, you go to the hospital, there is no medicine, there is no qualified doctor to look at you, to diagnose you properly? We say that the first thing that we're going to tackle is the hunger issue. The government has to find ways, not only through tax break, but find ways to reduce this exuberant price of food. You know, our fish, our natural resources, our fish stocks should be managed properly so people can go and buy cheap. We need those protein. Right now, how many people eat fish? Not many. How many people can afford meat every day? So it seems like we are getting, we have a society that is getting sick, malnutrition, no nutritious food. So the government, our government is going to look at that and say, and just put in policies that will bring these prices down. And sorry, but we're going to tap into this citizens orientation thing. We have different corps. The citizen orientation is broken down into corps, and those corps we will use qualified professional from there to serve our citizens, be the doctors, be the civil engineers. Our intent is to really build a very strong civil engineering corps in the military so we can be able to build our roads.
You want to combat and arrest corruption. We have some serious incidences which I would like to quote. It's democracy, Mr. President, by the way, and everybody watching this program right now. We have a serious scandal at the Ministry of Fisheries, which led to the burning of the Fisheries Department. We have a $4 billion drug case, which is still mooted. And I believe that if you have a drug case that is now about a month long, we should have heard something by now.
And we hush.
We have the fisheries saga still under the table. You want to combat and arrest corruption. What would you do? How will you
I
do
believe
it?
that corruption, we have to make the opportunity to cause corruption, to have corruption, very, very unbearable. As human beings, we are not afraid of anything but sharp, harsh consequences. Let's say I stole $1 billion, and the president is there and say, you know what, you just go and get 2 years in jail. We kick you out of the government. You have $2 billion to play with. Somebody else will come in and say, I can afford to go to jail for 3 years. You did 2 years, forget it, I can do 3 years. Our laws are very weak. There are no consequences for behaviors like what you said. There had to be investigation, and I'm believing that there was an investigation. The police report indicated that the fire that burned that building came from the bathroom, and the source didn't make any sense to the police. Then why is it still there? Why is it that we haven't taken action? Then there is a cover-up. Our government is not going to allow that. We have to be serious about is either we want a weak country or a strong country. We cannot have both. We cannot have a weak government and we have peace. That it doesn't work. There have to be an element of consequences. If you rape a child, a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old, you go to police and then you're bailed the next day. What kind of justice system do we have? And you have to go and live with that child over there in the same town. I think that this is I mean, we have to really think. I think that for us, we have to be very firm and strong about laws. I'm not saying that tramping on your rights, but you know what? There is, between the rights and the law, there is always a fine line. You have your rights, but the laws are there. Your rights stop where the laws begin. If you break the law, you have to have consequences, and the consequences should be a deterrent, not a punishment. Deterrent not for you, but for somebody else. If you steal some government property, and then we do an investigation, if we give you 5 years for $1 million, then we're not doing justice. That's why we said we will have to be very firm. And then digitization comes into play, because accountability cannot be achieved without really having a visual of 20 years, what happened 20 years ago. Books can be burnt, right? But computer network that is distributed between servers across the country cannot be burned. That's why WikiLeaks is having nobody can stop WikiLeaks, because of what? They have hundreds and hundreds of servers everywhere, information being replicated everywhere. You burn one server, somebody else have it somewhere else. Nothing
Absolutely.
is lost.
No.
So we have to look at these things and say, you know what? It will be we invest heavily for tomorrow, so we will gain something.
Related to that is your agenda of a computerized civil and public institution. You're an IT guy.
Yes.
And I'm sure you're following what is happening right now in our institutions and in the sectors that make up this government. What do you see, and what do you want to fix?
I see a government that does not want to be accountable. I see a government that doesn't want transparency, even though you can say that you want to be transparent. You can have a website and you can put some information there that you think that the public wants to see. But transparency is not it's not about those little things that you. If we want go deeper to find out what you did 10 years ago about the funds that came, we should be able to do it. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So now, that's what we are going to implement. If we are to have a government that is productive, we have to really invest heavily in IT. And that means that 2, 3, 4 billion needs to be invested in this. I look at this machine that just came out. I'm sorry, but I have to say this. This printing machine that just came out, by looking at it, we know that this is not a modern machine. Because I know a printing press that is made by Xerox doesn't look like that. And to have $1 million spent on that machine, I think that we need to question that.
I'm happy you're saying it.
It is not fair for the Gambian people. These are the problems.
It is not.
A president goes in and open a printer, inaugurate a printer that looks like it has come from a dustbin. And then you're saying that this is a state-of-the-art printer, and then you're trying to convince us that you spent $1 million. $1 million machine is not that.
$50 million.
$50 million, $50 million is $1 million.
Of course.
That's a lot of money. So these are the things that we have.
So again, we see some form of shall I say corrupt practice.
Corrupt practice, blatant actually.
All right. Let me put this all together. Comprehensive tax. You want to see that? Public and security services reform.
Yes.
We have a serious problem with the security service reform.
Yes.
It's not going anywhere. It's just stuck somewhere. And the European Union is mad with us that we're not getting anywhere ahead with the security service.
Listen, the frontline security staff, they are out there stopping cars, looking for, not even for tail light that is broken, but for driver's license. Is that serious? You go to a neighborhood, you will not see a police officer. Now, if I am a driver and I'm a corrupt, I did something, and I will not go take the main road. I will go to the back roads because I can be able to do whatever I want. We need to give the tools to security officers so they can do their job. We have to equip the police, we have to equip the paras, and we have to equip the military. And we need, the selection process for the military should be very stringent. You cannot come from somewhere else and you become an army guy. The security, military should be a very highly respected, very highly functional institution. You know, not somebody who, an institution that, anybody, people look down on you. I mean, you see a military guy standing on the road waving for ride. That is not right. These are not right. If you see a military guy, you should be smart, respected. Police officers, their uniforms they need to be, if I look at a police officer, I should be happy that he is there. But my God, I see some, I'm like, okay, did you just get your shirt from the dustbin? It is not fair. And we are having all these problems, and the police is true. I mean, we need to build, this is what I'm going to say. Let's build a security sector that is really functional, very smart.
Respectable.
And respectable. And nobody, you cannot be driving and insulting a police officer and then you get away with it. It goes both ways. The police officer should be respecting the civilian by not acting a certain way. The civilian should be behaving in a certain way, not to disrespect the police officer. So we have to look at all those in a totality and change it.
As we come to the end of this program, which I find very, very interesting, we have said a lot here, very interesting issues have been raised and discussed here. I am declaring you now to campaign. Campaign for presidency in 2021. I've given you the go ahead.
Vote for...
This is my IEC.
Vote for Papa Faal, and you will never regret it, because we need integrity in that office. We need hard-working people. We need people who care about the country and the people, to uplift them, the young, so we can cut off this backway syndrome, give the young people the tools to be able to be better leaders tomorrow. And we have the answer in our agenda. You can go to papafaal.com. You can download our manifesto if you're in the anywhere in the world, even here. And if you need a copy, we have our our number is on the website. We can provide that for you. As a young person, we have everything here. You will not be out of work when you go out of school. We provide that information for you. We need a better Gambia. You will have to vote for Faal. If not, you will have more of the same.
Papa Faal, it's been a pleasure to talk to you on Road to State House. I really enjoyed this conversation we have.
Thank you.
I wish you well.
Thank
Come
you.
December 4th, 2021. If I hear we, Papa Faal, I know you really merited.
Thank you.
For joining us. That was Papa Faal. He was my guest on Road to State House. From me, Malik Jones, the course is open. 21 people running the race to State House.
And then they're all old except a few.
Except a few, rightly said. Until I come back your way on another time on the same platform, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye-bye.